Of the Harambee Bus Rapid Transit system. Ekurhuleni MMC for Transport Petrus Mabunda has condemned the violence by minibus taxi drivers on Gauteng's East Rand. This morning, the taxi drivers forced commuters out of privately owned vehicles in the Kempton Park CBD. They insist that no one is allowed to transport consumers on their route. Taxi drivers are on strike in Ekurhuleni over delays in the completion of the Harambee Bus Rapid Transit system. The taxi operators are also calling for the removal of the city mayor, Mzwandile Masina. Mabunda says in the negotiations with Taxi Association management, it was agreed there would be no violence.
We've got a negotiating team from the city and from the industry. So this team continuously sit, thresh out issues, discuss, and if there is a need for political intervention, we do intervene. But there's issues like these ones that made them to go to the street, which is regrettable, but it's administrative in nature. If there is an appointment that needs to take place, in as much as you understand that it needs to happen, it's impossible that you can do it within so pressed time, because there must be a tender, adjudication, award. There's quite a lot of supply chain process that needs to be followed, as the MFM will demand us that we do. But we understand from their part that there is no way in which we can sit around the table with them without that technical advisor, because it is to their advantage. And they remember the system is new in South Africa. They are also not expert on the system. They will therefore need legal advice, accounting advice. They will need expertise in order to be formally constituted at the negotiating table, and that's why we must appoint the technical advisor in terms of the National Land Transport Act that came with this issue of BRT. But unfortunately, in this case, due to processes, we could not have appointed that technical advisor in time, which agitated them. I will not understand why it's leading to the resignation of the executive mayor, because, as I said to you, it's probably lack of communication, because the issue of supply chain and appointment has nothing to do with the executive. It's purely administrative. And the executive mayor, in his capacity as the mayor, does not sit in adjudication committees or appoint service providers. So you will not know in the city who needs to be appointed where. And I think, and with regards to whether he must resign or not, I think it's just ill-informed. But it's something that we're going to have a discussion with them after they've handed their memorandum of grievances, because probably if there's any other than what we know, we'll then have a session with them around the table to discuss what are these issues, and then we'll discuss it with them and find an amicable solution.
Meanwhile, Transport Minister Bladen Nzimande also weighed in on the strike.
We started dealing with this matter actually from yesterday afternoon, when we became aware that there was actually planned protests. I've spoken to the leadership of Santaco, for instance, the taxis, to try and find out what is going on. We also interacted with the municipality. I also had a discussion with the Minister of Police, because we were worried that there are threats of blocking R21 and R24, which would affect the airport. Affecting the airport, it affects our contact with the rest of the world. And our message really is to say to the taxi operators, they play a very important role. We would like that they engage us, so that you know what the issues are. Because most of the things that they raise, we believe, they can actually be addressed through sitting down and through engagement and dialogue, rather than using protest as like the first port of call.